Good evening to you. Welcome to the THS meeting of the 21st of April, although I've had to record this a week later on the 28th of April for the benefit of our expat members and local members who cannot make public meetings. So tonight was a very interesting talk by David Pegg on King Edgar, his favourite Anglo-Saxon king. I'll say a word about it later, but we all thought we knew nothing about this king or the Anglo-Saxons. So we welcome David. We're always pleased to see our members and our Tewkesbury Methodist Church technician. Expat members, you are in our thoughts, but we just cannot solve the technical problems in recording the actual talk. And the best we can do is to record this announcements by me, which is not as good. I do appreciate that. So guests are always welcome. There were 18 guests there tonight for our Anglo-Saxon talk, which was very good. And we did have Anne and Sue back on duty, and we all enjoyed their refreshments. So thank you. So big news is we want to go on a visit on the 9th of June to Sezincott House, which is near Morton in the Marsh in Gloucestershire. We're not very good at THS at getting members to go out of Tewkesbury on such events. We have chosen Sezincott House because it was built of money raised from being part of the empire in India and using styles from India, which was quite fashionable in the early 19th century. And we think it would be very interesting not only to visit that house, but also to consider the role of Britain and Empire and India, which of course is very controversial at the moment. So that's it. We were hoping to go by minibus, but we could not get enough people who wished to pay the high prices that minibus inevitably cost these days. So we have decided that we should go in individual cars, if people wish to, for a cost of £12.50 for the tour of the house. You pay for your own transport and your own lunch, which can be had at the opposite Bartsford. I've forgotten the word now, but it's the Arboretum, which is opposite Bashford, is it? Which is opposite the house itself. So we are now going to go. We've got enough members to go. So please let us. I'm sorry for expat members. Obviously, Morton in the Marsh is too far for you. But India might be closer. And there we go. So we've forgotten about the minibus. We can't do it now. So there we go. The cost is £12.50, unless you're a member of Historic England. The news is, of course, the Bulletin is Bulletin 31 for sale. We've had to produce more, and we can sell it to £8 for members and £10 to guests. And expat members can order it from us. Obviously, you have to pay the postage on top of the £8, but we'd love to hear from you and send you a copy. And they were available during refreshments. And the good news is, the very good news is that Derek Benson has been shortlisted once again. He's been shortlisted so many times and even runner-up for the County Gerard Award. It's for his article in Bulletin 30, which was about riots in Tewkesbury. So well done, Derek, a very good writer. And you can buy Bulletin 30 from me via the internet. So please do get your copy and see what this very fine article is on. Yes, I told you last week I was very concerned that our local MPs don't seem to be doing much to help in the situation for the poor Ukrainians, and especially disappointed with our Home Secretary, who doesn't seem to be able to get her own civil servants to issue the visas that people need to come across the channel. A lot of them, of course, are waiting in France or Poland and just waiting, the bureaucrats. Very disappointed. At least our local MP, Lawrence Robertson, decided he would raise money for the Ukrainian appeal. I couldn't go that night, but I did purchase my ticket, And we got the news that from Lawrence we had a full house, about 80 people, and raised about £2,000 for this appeal. So that is good news. We now know that Priti Patel had all her thoughts on Rwanda while this was going on, but we're lucky that one of our members, Tim Wright, disappeared recently when I was emailing him, and he did inform me that in fact he had been to Ukraine delivering goods that were needed out there in vans, and so we're very grateful not only for Tim representing Tewkesbury in that way, but also he did give us a very short report tonight on what he'd been doing, so we're very grateful. And since that meeting, we've heard that what the daughter and husband of one of our members has actually received her promised 5 refugees from Ukraine, and they've arrived last week and are settling in now. Whether we're doing enough to support them, I dread to think. So I didn't talk much about the history. It was very depressing at the moment. It looks like the Russians are determined on crushing Ukraine completely unless they agree to their terms, which we've been taught is absolutely impossible. And so we've been very interested in this concept of genocide. I'm not sure about the spelling there, but I did check it up. And with Putin has been accused of genocide, and the problem is, of course, will we ever get hold of him to put him on trial? And the BBC History has looked at the history of genocide over the last century and come to the depressing conclusion that this sort of confluence of particular motive, interest, and humanitarian consequences is the most that can be expected in terms of intervention during mass atrocity. In other words, not very likely to do much about it. We were lucky that Serbia did surrender or did make peace and was willing to hand over Milosevic, who is, as we speak, is serving a term of life imprisonment for his murders in Serbia during that civil war. The only other good evidence we have from history, going back to 1971, when the East Pakistanis, the Bengalis, revolted against West Pakistan because of their treatment, and they did in fact get their freedom, thanks for the support of Britain amongst others, and of course India, who was the major enemy of West Pakistan, were very keen to help in the breakup of Pakistan into the 2 territories. So again, particular motive interest there, where how much they were concerned about the fate of the Bengalis, we just don't know. But there we go. We do have museum talks fortnightly at Trinity Church on a Tuesday at 7 p.m. in the evening. And the next one is this very good enterprise project run by the Roses and the library, whereby they're trying to do a history of Tewkesbury in stitch, in embroidery. And the rule is that if you turn up to see them, you have to do a stitch, even if you're a man. And I've done about 3. They're not very good, but I've done my little bit. So that's on the 3rd of May. Do come along that evening to see the presentation of this embroidery. They buy a tapestry of Tewkesbury. The Yankee University continues monthly at the Anchor Public House, and it always goes from noon to 1400 hours, and the landlady, Loz, who's very keen to welcome us, provides the only lunch she provides at the Anchor, which is free for people who attend the university. Next month, on the 10th of May, we're going to commemorate, a rather sad commemoration, of the centenary of our war memorial and also the 50th anniversary of the death of Brian Soden fighting in Northern Ireland, and Matthew Stewart 40 years ago fighting in the Falkland Isles. And we have invited their parents and their family to join us if they wish. And so it'll be good to see you on that evening, that lunchtime, if you can make it. And there again, well, that's only genocide I found out this month, that's all. It wasn't very helpful. There is a lady that's moved into Kemerton, who is the niece of one of our members, Dave Devereux, and she is a book conservator, and she's offering her service to people who have precious books they wish to have restored. I've got my family history being done as we speak, and I look forward to be able to show you the results later. So if you do wish to make benefit of this service, you can see her email address at the bottom there. But of course, you have to get it to Kemerton and back. The next meeting on the 19th of May will be our AGM, which is always free. And we start at 7:45. We have the traditional agenda. It's going to be done mainly on PowerPoint, but we shall print off the financial report done by our new treasurer, Graham Hotchkiss. There will also be the announcement of the Woodard Award winner, which is a very worthy one, of course. I'm very pleased this year. And we also do thank people who volunteer for various jobs to do in the society, but who aren't on the committee. So we do that. There will be refreshments. And after that, we do have a speaker who will be Georgia Smith of Tewkesbury Borough Council, answering the question, how important is the High Street Action Zone project? You probably don't know much about it, but you will if you turn up to this meeting. It's a way really of improving the outlook of the three major streets in Tewkesbury, and using government money to do that. And that's Georgia Smith's stuff, and she will tell us how important it is for us all. So now we have David Pegg to speak to us. David, it was recommended to us by our Secretary Malachi Cornwall Kelly, and he is not a historian, but he's a lover of history, which is wonderful. And he's a lover of King Edgar, his favourite Anglo-Saxon king. And it did take me back to the first essay I wrote at university, which was really to see how much change there was after the Norman conquest in terms of organisation of feudalism, also money and weights and other things. And King Edgar, even though he only reigned for a short time, we were impressed with David Pegg saying that he was quite a forward-looking king who had an interesting married life, which was always good to hear. And we really did enjoy this talk, and we really did feel that we learned more about not only the Anglo-Saxons, but also King Edgar, and we should go to Wikipedia to find out even more. So thanks, David, for that very enjoyable talk. And he did do it without a fee that night, which is very, very kind of him. So that's it, everybody. That's our meeting on the 21st of April 2022. Thank you for listening.